Hey class, welcome back. We're starting chapter 12, and chapter 12 really looks at the foreign policy of the United States that, that occurred during the first five presidents of our nation's history. So section 1 is detailing uh, the precedent that George Washington set as he was president and how he went about crafting a foreign policy. Just some background information. Um, we know at the time the U.S. military was weak. They The army from the revolution had been disbanded for two reasons. The first one being the government didn't have the money to pay an active military. And the second, many Americans really felt that if there was a standing army, it could be used to take away American liberties. They really felt that local militias would do a better job of defending any hostile threats. So there wasn't that support for standing army. Threats to the new nation. The United States is surrounded by countries that really could have benefited from taking over the United States or looking to get into armed conflict with the U.S. To expand their own territory interests in North America. To the north, Britain controlled Canada and refused to abandon its forts in the Ohio River Valley. And to the south and west, Spain controlled Florida, so that southern border of Georgia. Um, the United States doesn't all the way run down to the south yet, and they also controlled a huge, huge piece of the central part of the continent, running through our present-day Midwestern states, and that was referred to as the Louisiana Territory. So when we're looking at the map, we see the areas in pink are referred to as Canada. That's under British control, right up here. And the yellow would be French, or excuse me, Spanish. French is the small pocket purple. Basically, by this time, France has been kicked out of the North American continent, and what remains for French territories in the Western Hemisphere are down in the Caribbean and our United States in green. And then we also have some undisputed territory in orange, and we see some pockets of that. So those are areas in which there's multiple nations making claims that they control it, and the other nations are saying no, no, that's still ours. So that disputed territory. Here's another one here as well. So there's also some events going on in Europe that are going to push the development of the U.S. foreign policy. A big one being the French Revolution, and we've spent some time talking about that. There's going to be that push to include the common person in France, overthrow of the monarchy, and France is going to push that beyond their own borders. They're going to go to war with Great Britain. And at the time of the American Revolution, America and France had signed an alliance that brought France into the American Revolution to give support to the United States because France has had this long-held hatred for Great Britain. And at this time then, France expected return support from the United States. Washington's response to this was basically to ignore the treaty with France, and he declared that the U.S. Would remain neutral. They'd keep a sense of neutrality, so they were not choosing sides. They weren't giving support to either country. And in the end, this angers France and kind of emboldens Great Britain to feel like they can do whatever they want. Within his farewell address, um, Washington stated that nothing could be gained from U.S. involvement in European affairs. He really stressed steering clear of permanent alliances. This is going to become known as the U.S. policy of isolationism. We're going to stick to things within our borders. We're not going to poke our nose into the affairs of Europe. And for the next 100 years, isolationism would be the foundation of U.S. foreign policy. And we're going to see that with John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, uh, James Madison, and James Monroe. They're really going to try and practice that, but they find that maintaining that sense of isolationism is a really hard thing to do when there are world events that need the attention of the United States. So next time we're back, we'll look at John Adams' dilemma and how he went about solving his problem.